Hey, what's happening? Jeff Pish. Today, I want to talk a little bit about, this is going to be a playthrough video. I want to talk about my approach to this tune and approach to tunes like this. And by like this, I mean odd time, odd meter, those crazy things that have gotten defined as odd, fives and sevens, 13s, 11s, all those kinds of things that are outside of 4/4, 3/4, 2/4, 6/8 that we feel are normal time. It's just got talked about that way in the past and kind of stuck in the music world. Whether you agree, disagree with labels, blah, blah, blah. That's a whole other thing. At any rate, we're going to talk about odd time. Specifically, this tune I'm working on is in 13. So if we're talking about math, which we're going to get into a little bit, 7 and 6 would be a phrase of 13. So if we're thinking like this particular tune, if I were counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that'd be insanity. But the way it's phrased, it's a 7 and a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 5, 6. So that kind of gives us a little bit of a simpler breakdown rather than trying to think of 13. It just gives us a smaller grouping. Now, what I do with odd time, and again, this isn't for everybody. There's players out there that want those counts, that want those subdivisions down to the minutia of all of it and finding those little tiny intricacies of where this note sits in relation to this count 8, 9, and 13 and all that. I've come to terms with that's not how I learn. That's not how I'm able to transfer what's in my head to the instrument. It's just not how I'm built. Some people are built that way. Great, good for you. If you can do all the numbers and count, that's great. If I'm learning something for the first time, a new rhythm or combo, I'm going to count it for sure. Absolutely. I'm going to look at how the notes lay out on the page and read the music, read the chart, and count the counts. But in a musical situation like this, where I'm trying to find some flow in the tune, I can't be bogged down. My brain just will get bogged down if I'm thinking of counts rather than thinking of what the phrase is. I got to attend a drum clinic / masterclass a couple years back, and the clinician, I want to say this was a Todd Suckerman clinic, if I'm remembering correctly. I've been to a bunch of clinics and masterclasses, so I can't pinpoint it, but I think it was Todd that was talking about odd time, and he was in a session and there was a percussionist, and the percussionist, it was an odd time tune that the artist had written, and the percussionist was like, well, what's the clave? And that kind of struck a chord with me, rather than, this percussionist trying, well, what meter is it? And he said, well, what's the clave? And the clave, simply being what's the phrase, what's the key? Clave means key. What's the key to the rhythmic phrase and the musical phrase? So I really kind of took that to heart. I used to struggle a lot with odd time, odd meters, and but now I've found myself in a place where I'm able to hear it and find that quote unquote clave in the tune to be able to think of that rather than counts. So that just kind of helps me. So this particular tune that I'm going to play through, like I said, it's in 13 groups of 7 and 6. 7 and 6 is 13 for the math whizzes out there, doing all of the maths, making sure the math is mathing, as they say. But I'm thinking it and you'll hear that as soon as the tune starts. The bass line is pretty, level the whole way through. So that's what's in my head throughout as I'm playing this tune, for the sections that are in 13, which is a majority of the tune. It goes to a 4/4 swing at some point, but that's just fast swing, and we all love a little bit of that intermixed, as it were. So if you take your odd meter tunes and you try to find those patterns in there, listen to what the bass player is playing, listen to what the melody is, listen to the harmonic, setup within that odd meter, those odd counts, and find and be able to grab onto the phrases rather than trying to feel the counts. All right, so that's my approach to this tune. You know, check it out. You know, like I said, just when you listen back to this, see if you can find that bum 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 bum. 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 5, 6, 1, 2, 5, 6, classic. Like if you want to count it, there's your 7 and 6 in there. I just want to hear phrasing. I want to hear music. I don't want to hear maths. I want to hear music in there. So that's just how I approach it. Let me know in the comments if you can pick it out, and let me know what you think of this concept, and let me know if you have any questions. And as usual, like, subscribe, do all the fun YouTube things. And here's the tune. It's a Joshua Redman tune, Asymmetric Aria.